welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a foundation review of 3 foundations. 2 are brand new. One has been out, I don't know, not very long, but so they're all newer, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on them. The first is the Makeup Forever Water Blend. So this is recently launched, and if I could focus it, you could see it. Well, the water blend. The new Hourglass Vanish. Is that what this, right? Vanish. That's what it's called? Yeah, the Vanish Foundation. And the Surratt Surreal Skin Foundation Wand by Surratt Beauty. And I know this is carried at a few different retailers. I think Sephora and Barney's. So I wanted to give you my thoughts on all 3 of these, and I'll let you know the shades that I have in each. And so let's first get going with Makeup Forever Water Blend. I have in the shade Y245. It is actually the foundation I'm wearing today. Okay, so this I believe replaced, see how I was like getting into something like I was like, we're gonna talk. Took like a deep breath. This replaced, I believe, the old kind of face and body foundation that Makeup Forever had, because it does say on here face and body foundation, so it can be used on the face and on the body. Not like I would use it on the body, but in your kit or that sort of thing, if you are a makeup artist, I would assume that this would be something you would use on the body. It is very, very watery, very sheer. It's very similar, if you're familiar with MAC foundations, to the MAC face and body. So instantly when I tried it, I was like, normally it gives a very dewy, fresh, just had a facial finish to the skin, which is great, but as time goes on, those kind of foundations tend to make me look very shiny by the end of the day. That fresh facial look tends to look like oil, greasy, needs a facial look by the end of the day. So I really was hesitant. But I put this on, and the first impression, like when I got it on the skin, as I'm buffing it in, it's very sheer. I was like, this is covering nothing. And then I was like, all right, just give it some time. So as I was finishing, it was definitely beginning to settle and to even out a little bit more. And by the end, my skin looked absolutely beautiful. Dried down to a little bit more of a natural dewy finish. Not super matte, obviously. Not super dewy, but it did kind of tone down a little bit. That being said, I would definitely need a mattifying primer or a loose powder over top of this. How it wore throughout the day, it wore wonderfully and beautifully throughout the day. I began to see a little bit of kind of breaking up right around the nose, but that's just because I'm always like rubbing my nose runs and all that sort of thing. But everywhere else, it stayed pretty smooth and even. I would say that for oily skin, this probably might even be better for like a wintertime foundation, because I can definitely get away with more of those dewy foundations in the winter than I can in the summer. And I did really like how hydrated it made my skin look and feel. There was no dry patches, didn't catch on any dry patches or anything. So I definitely really loved it for that. I was surprised at how long it lasted on my skin, but without any type of like mattifying agent in my makeup, it was definitely way too shiny for my normal to oily skin. However, I have the Y245, which is more yellow. They also sent me some R shades that were kind of closer to my skin tone, and I give those to my mom, and she really, really loves it. It looks beautiful on her skin, because her skin is obviously a little bit drier than mine, but it makes her skin look just healthy and fresh all day long. Obviously, she doesn't use a powder or any type of like mattifying primer because she doesn't need to. So I was really excited to see it on a different skin type and how beautiful it looked. So just a little tip. I really feel that any skin types can use it, though it may not be like a year-round foundation for any one of those skin types because it's too oily in the summer, maybe too dry in the winter for dry skin. You get what I'm saying. All right, moving on to the Hourglass Vanish foundation. I have it in the shade Alabaster, which is a hint light for me right now in the summer, though I think, not that I get really tan in the summer, but obviously I get some color. And I definitely think it would be more of a winter shade for me. Okay, so I have some challenges with stick foundations, and I don't know why that is, but I always struggle with like how best to apply them, because if I go directly on my face with the stick, it feels as if my skin is being suffocated by like pancake batter. Do you know what I mean? Like I've talked before about the Tom Ford foundation stick that I had that was way too heavy until I figured out a way to use it. So for this, I find that a beauty blender really works well, or duo fiber brush. So it's not like a really thick, heavy buffing brush into the skin, more of a duo fiber so that the fibers are a little bit, thinner at the top, and I just kind of buff it in, though a beauty blender really is the best one. It's supposed to be extremely like mattifying and like really dry down to like a nice powdery matte finish. I don't know why it didn't do that for me. It dried down slightly, but it wasn't as matte as other people have been saying it was. I definitely felt that it was a little more glowy and dewy than I had anticipated. Also, I needed a powder to set it throughout the day, and that was a little bit surprising. That being said, it did give a really beautiful kind of airbrushed finish to the skin, and really it covers a lot. It's really creamy that way, and if you like a flawless kind of full coverage foundation, I know it says it's not full coverage. I thought it found it to be quite full coverage. However, when I use a beauty blender, I was able to sheer it out a lot more, and I liked that look a little bit better. But I've been using it surprisingly as a concealer under my eyes, especially because it's super hot and humid right now, and I really love the way it wears under the eyes. So, little tip there. I would think, some people have said that it's not, for dry skin, it pulls on dry patches or whatever. I don't know. I felt that it was kind of shiny on me, so I was like, I think dry skin would love this. But I think everyone's experience with this foundation is very different, and I think there's definitely been, like I said, the reviews are kind of all over the place with how people's experiences are. So if you can get to a Sephora that has it and you can kind of swatch it and test it, then I would really recommend doing that. Or you could always order it from someplace like Nordstrom, and they do accept returns. And if something doesn't work out, that's what I love about Nordstrom. That's why I always shop there. And you could always order it from there and then send it back, obviously, if you didn't like it. But I really would recommend kind of seeing if you can get a test or a sample of it or a swatch of it before really committing to it. All right, the last one is the Surreal Skin Foundation Wand. You take the top off, which I thought was so great. And it has a little brush, and then you pump the end here, and the product comes out right in the top there. I've tried foundations like this before that have the brush in the top. I don't ever like the brush. I always think the brushes, they spend the money on the formulation, and they don't spend the money on the brush. This brush is beautiful. I would use this brush with other foundations, but obviously there's like color on it from this foundation. They did such a good job with the brush of this. It is very soft but firm. It's at a great angle. It's large enough where I can get the whole face. I mean, I definitely, for like my forehead, I need to pull out something a little bit larger because, I have a really big forehead, let's be honest. Like, I could, go up like probably six times from my eyebrow line to my forehead, and, I need a bigger brush. But the rest of my face, I can really do well with this. I have it in the shade number 1, which surprisingly for summer is a little bit light. I was really shocked. I was like, I'm always a shade 1 in all foundations. The lightest shade. I guess I got a little bit of a tan this summer. So this is a little bit light, but I can still wear it, and I put a bronzer over it, or I mix it with some of my darker foundations that are way too dark for me. But I wanted to kind of test it, obviously, just as is. It glides on beautifully. It really gives kind of a second skin finish. A little bit radiant, but surprisingly, compared to the other two foundations, the radiance in this foundation was very wearable for oily skin. I didn't need to touch up with powder as much as I thought I would. It gave like a sheer to medium coverage, and I just like that it was so easy to apply. It instantly kind of evened out like redness, any minor dark spots or anything that I had. It was just kind of all around easy foundation. There wasn't a lot of like growing pains as there was with the other two, trying to figure out how best to apply it, what other products do I need to use to make it wear all day, last all day, not get me too shiny, all that sort of thing. This kind of was just a little bit easier. I touched up throughout the day with like a quick touch-up powder, but by the end of the day, my skin still looked really fresh and healthy and kind of put together. So, like I said, this shade number 1, the Hourglass was in Alabaster, and the Makeup Forever in Y245. Love to know your thoughts about these foundations if you've tried them and what you're liking about them. Definitely let me know. If you have used these and tried them, let me know your skin type as well, so if other people read the comments, they can get an idea of how any of these foundations are working or not working for your particular skin type. So if they share a similar skin type to you, they can maybe get a little mini review as well. And I hope this video was helpful and you found, if you're interested in trying one of these foundations, let me know. Love to hear what you think, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.